Hello, everyone. This is Jay William here. Thank you for joining us today. I am super excited to share with you that I have an expert with me who is going to enlighten us with his vast experience of the hospitality industry, vacation rentals, and this guy really has his hands in a lot of different things. So I'm excited to introduce him to you today. With everything that's going on, I thought he would be a great person to bring on board to talk about the big news that's happening in the industry today. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Eric Mason. Eric, glad to have you.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to talk with you guys today.
Awesome. Well, Eric, my viewers are going to want to know a little bit about who you are and what your experience is. Now, I know it's a very, very broad experience, very vast. It goes very deep. You kind of have experience in the hotel industry, hospitality, not just vacation rentals. So can you kind of share with our viewers, what it is that you do and your experience?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, to your point, yeah, I've kind of been bred and raised, if you will, in hospitality. Frankly, my whole life, being raised in South Florida around the snowbirds and kind of the transient nature of people getting away from the cold, coming down to the warmth, to my education, which is in really business and hospitality. And then, of course, my career that's been, frankly, spent a lifetime in the travel sector, both, as you mentioned, in the hotel side initially, but then the last 9 years really have been focused on, or 9+ years, has really been focused on vacation rentals, and what's happening in and around that ecosystem. So yeah, it's been a lifetime. Certainly learned a lot. To your point, I've done a lot of different things that we'll talk a little bit about today. But yeah, certainly happy to share some of the insights that I may be able to offer.
It's great that you've been involved in hotels and hospitality for so long, and where the vacation rentals are going today. It seems like this kind of emerging line of hotels and vacation rentals. Now, there's a big elephant in the room, and I really wanted to bring you on to discuss this, because just last night it was released, or that's when we found out about it, about the HomeAway acquisition. What is your take on that? I mean, when you heard about it, what was your first thoughts?
Well, my first thoughts is it's been a long time coming. As we've known, we've all heard about rumor mills around who might come up and take out HomeAway in terms of the value they've built and to bring it into a broader environment. What we saw last night was really kind of that first step. Now that deal's got to close, which it likely will. Right. But really, what it likely means, and again, we're all digesting this, but we've been kind of contemplating it for a couple of years. But I think the intent, from an Expedia perspective, is probably to try to bring in the content that HomeAway has managed to either buy and aggregate organically over the last number of years to a broader set of audiences across the Expedia dynasty. As you know, they own many different online travel agencies and sites that consumers go to book their travel from. So I think it's really an initiative to try to bring up and out the content from HomeAway and their sister brands into broader consumer audiences and ecosystems. Now, granted, there's always challenges with that. A hotel consumer traditionally wants to book a hotel. A vacation rental consumer typically wants to book a vacation rental. But as we've seen with what HomeAway and Expedia have done over the last 2 years with their test in getting some of the product out there, consumers have really responded well. Some of the other OTAs that have been doing it, obviously, Booking.com, has been fairly successful, I guess, by all accounts of their vacation rental businesses. And so I think it's really just the next logical step for Expedia to kind of take on HomeAway to try to further exploit the content that's there to bring more consumers into the fold.
There's a lot of owners, management companies who are not sure. They're worried. They're not sure what's going to happen. Some of them are concerned about the competition. How do you think that's going to affect vacation rental owners and management companies? Do you think it'll be much of the same, or will there be some drastic changes?
Yeah, I think initially there's not going to be many drastic changes. As a matter of fact, right before we started this, I received the email from HomeAway kind of articulating the rationale, the reason, the intent, and the likely benefits, or the intended benefits to the HomeAway constituents, the owners, the managers, and so forth. So, so really, I think it's just I wouldn't overreact currently, right? Because I also, by the way, I have a little management company that I also operate, and I certainly have listings on HomeAway and Airbnb and the others. So I'm not reacting one way or the other currently. There's not going to be any immediate changes that we see. Hopefully, it'll bring more benefit, frankly, to owners and managers around their products. And really, what I mean by that is we've seen, and as Focusrite pointed out in their latest study, which I think was about a month and a half ago they released it, the share of mind of the general travel consumer is growing substantially when it comes to vacation rentals. I mean, I think we've doubled the share of mind that vacation rentals has had in the last 2.5 years, which is monumental. So really, let's take a breath and not overreact. I mean, I know I tend to do that myself, trying to overthink what may happen, but we also have to be cognizant and careful that as new distribution opportunities present themselves through this acquisition of HomeAway through Expedia, that we also be a bit cautious on how we leverage those channels, because in the hotel industry years ago, and I was a part of kind of working through how hotels adopted online travel agencies, and to a certain degree, given certain economic issues, became too reliant on some of the OTAs. We've just got to be careful as an industry not to put all of our eggs in one basket. We still need to have our own websites. We still need to take our consumer calls. We still need to market and promote our products across a whole host of sites, not just one or two or just a few, but many.
I totally agree with that. Never to put your eggs in one basket and rely solely on one or two sources. So I'm totally with you on that. Now, do you think that we will follow a same trajectory as far as commissions in the future if everything goes well, similar to what hotels pay? Because they're on the larger scale, between 20 to 25% commission. I think someone with your expertise and been in the business this long could really give a good answer on that.
Yeah, well, and look, but before I left the Wyndham Worldwide organization, which is where I pursued the strategy for them and spoke to really the marketplace around what it was like and about having a vacation rental management company and how to operate it efficiently and effectively. I spoke to then, that was many years ago, but then the CEOs of all the major OTAs, including Expedia. And they all at that time said, look, we'd love to have the content. We know it's important to consumers, but they had a challenge with their business model as they present it to hotels and other categories. They all know that the levels of commission that they take from hotels is not sustainable in the vacation rental marketplace, because let's face it, guys, many of us take 20 or 30% to operate our business on, not just for a distribution channel itself. So there's going to be some balancing of that. But I think to
how do hotels feel about that, huh?
Well, look, we've seen Choice introduce their franchise model. They were at the VRMA conference a couple of weeks ago. Obviously Wyndham's been in the space for a number of years. They're very extremely large, but they've also kept many of their regional brands. So obviously Wyndham is the mothership, but they've really nurtured their regional brands, which is important. Because as a consumer, when I travel on vacation, I stay in vacation rentals, and it's important for me to understand that a management company has a certain skill set and expertise in a market, and I'm comfortable that they have a product set that'll fit my need. So when you get into, I'll call it over-branding, then you get to the big global brands, which those are coming, no doubt about it. But some of the connection with the consumer is likely going to get lost a little bit, because we really look for this local experience and knowledge to really make sure that we can have a good experience, given that these are individual, unique products. These aren't hotels. These aren't king rooms with the same TV and the same the same linen and so forth. So these are very unique. So I think it's certainly going to be treated differently.
On that same note, I recently reported on this, and I gave a piece of advice to help survive the Expedia HomeAway buyout. And my suggestion was that owners really start working on their own brands and developing brand equity, delivering on service, and differentiating themselves from off-the-shelf vacation rentals. Do you think that's really the approach on how vacation rentals should really counteract what's happening in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, always, guys. I mean, you've got your own brand today. It's important. People come to you because likely of your brand, and clearly they're probably finding you on some of the channels. But ultimately, as even the OTAs will tell you, that they believe that the power of an OTA is to drive consumers to you as a supplier, and then it's your job as a supplier to then convert that guest into future stays booking directly with you. So use them for what they're there for. Build your brand, make sure it's important, it's relevant to the consumer base, the environment, the destination you're in, and use the tools that are presented to you.
Okay, awesome. Well, this is going to be really interesting to see how this pans out. If you can give vacation rental owners and managers one piece of valuable advice, this is a kind of a ongoing question that I like to ask our experts is, what one piece of advice, or what's the most valuable thing that you can share with a vacation rental owner or management company? What would that be? I know you probably have a bunch you can pull out, but pick that gold nugget out and please share it with us.
Well, I mean, sometimes it just gets down to the basics, guys. I mean, we're all operating a business, whether we believe we are or not. I mean, sometimes we've got a full-time job, doing what we do on a 9-to-5 basis, and maybe we have a home that we're managing on ourselves that we've listed, or we're a host. But ultimately, when we put ourselves out there like that to a consumer that's going to rely on us to deliver an experience, we've got to follow through. We've got to deliver what we say we're going to deliver. And if we fall down on that, we're falling down on the basic premise of this industry. So really, my goal is, and I treat it this way in my own little vacation rental business, is I build relationships with my customers. I collaborate, I engage them, and I engage them in a real-time manner. I know there's been a lot of talk over the years around the level of engagement and responsiveness that an owner, a host, or even a manager can give to a consumer. But let's just remember that we are catering to a person, a family, a group that's relying on us to deliver an experience through what we're telling we have for them. And if we keep that in mind and we deliver against what we're promising we'll deliver, we'll be in good shape. We'll be able to operate good businesses. As a host or an owner, you'll be able to really build great relationships with people that come and stay on your property, and really just treat it as such and deliver what you promise. That's really the fundamental of this whole thing. And then there's lots of stuff we can talk about beyond that, but just getting that right means that you're going to have a sustainable and growing and successful business going forward.
So focusing on the relationship, remembering that vacations are not just a business transaction.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, all major brands have their brand promise, right? I mean, if it's a Coke, you drink a Coke, you know what you're going to get, you know what it's going to taste like, right? So what we're doing is we're building a consistent story around what we promise to our customers. Again, whether we're a host, owner, or manager, we have to do that, and that's fundamentally what our business is about. And yes, we have to have efficiencies, and we have to drive great processes to be able to support and sustain our business. But fundamentally, and this goes not just to vacation rentals, this is really to anybody in the accommodation marketplace. If we can do that, and we can do it consistently, then we're in good shape.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and switch the conversation a little bit. I've been following you on LinkedIn, and you've kind of been out there doing your thing on the social networks. And a few years back, there were some people saying that social media really wasn't beneficial for vacation rental owners and for marketing. I think everyone today can really disagree with that. But what would you give some owners and managers advice in reference to social media?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's kind of funny how this whole LinkedIn phenomenon occurred with me. Particularly, I was literally in Australia starting to build a vacation rental company for a big company, and frankly, I just needed to have peers to talk to. I didn't want to make the same mistakes that have already been made, so I wanted to actually talk to people that may have made them before. So I think you can learn a lot by collaborating with environments like yours and others out there. It's important. It takes a village. Social media from the consumer side is huge. I was just in some conversations earlier this week about the power of referrals and referencing and positive stories that social media is really geared to delivering. So if you can harness the value of social media, and social media means a lot of things these days, depending on the demographic you're communicating with, but if you can really harness the feedback, the experiences that perhaps you're delivering, the products that you're delivering through those venues to those right constituents and consumers, it's wonderful. It's certainly much better than sending out an email campaign or our print ad, because those are static. Those are telling one particular side of a story. Social media tells all sides of the story, so it's collaboration.
And I mean, social media is free, right? I mean, it does require time, and I think that's where a lot of vacation rental owners and managers tend to leave it alone because maybe they don't have the time to do it. But it's a free resource to everyone out there, and to me, I have seen huge returns on my investment of time into my social media.
Yeah, I mean, and there are tools within social media that allows you to pull up and out the content that may be most beneficial to you or your constituency. So I'd say, get on the channels you like, leverage the tools that are available. There's third-party tools that allow you to really highlight and surface the things that may be more important to you, that really minimizes the time commitment. Because you're right, there's a lot of people that spend a lot of time on the likes of Facebook and so forth, but that's typically interacting with their peers. And obviously we're starting to get into the whole marketing campaign around Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and others. But yeah, there's ways to mitigate the amount of time you need to spend, because you're right, we're small businesses typically, and we're doing lots of different things. So leveraging the channels and the tools around it to get what you need to get as quickly as you can is the best way you can go about it.
Well, you mentioned tools, and that's one of the questions that I had prepared for you. I'd like to pick experts' brains. We spend a lot of time researching, looking online, finding tools that really help make our lives easier, streamline our processes and things. What's a great tool that you've been able to find that has helped your business, your workflow or something? Share that with us, Eric.
Some of the tools that I've used, particularly in the vacation rental industry, is easier ways to get my properties in broader distribution. As you probably know, I kind of co-founded and was the early participant in the switching ecosystem to enable distribution to happen more efficiently, and that really allows you to really get your properties out in more channels than you could likely do loading them manually through extranets and so forth. Some of the other tools, obviously I leverage contact centers, because I'm one person. We have a small team. And my inquiries come through 24 hours a day. So that's where the likes of the Real Voice, for example, that's a company that steps into your shoes, speaks on behalf of you to your prospects and consumers and guests when you're not able to. So that allows people and prospects to engage with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when you're not available. And then of course we've seen the rate tools that I've used and have brought to market. The market isn't static. So the seasonal rates that we have deployed for decades really has to change. It's more of a dynamic industry we live in now. The market's changing, the demand on our products are changing. So really leveraging tools like dynamic pricing engines or shopping engines help, because it can actually drive your revenue beyond what you could do on your own just by merely applying some science and some technology and some technical learning, if you will, to certain fluctuations in demand in your marketplace that allows you to ebb and flow your rates to making sure that you're offering the right price to the right consumer at the right time, even when you're not available to do that yourself. I've seen tremendous success and significant incremental revenue increases by leveraging tools like that across the board. So, guys, what we're entering into is an age of competition that we've never seen before, with the big brands coming into the space and larger companies generally coming in. They're all leveraging tools like the ones I'm speaking about and more. I think it's important that we all take a look at tools that we can use to make sure that we're competitive and we can really operate still an effective and successful business going forward in this kind of new dynamic environment we're entering into.
Again, it sounds like another sign of the times about how our vacation rental industry is really transforming following a model of the hotels, because they've always done that, with dynamic pricing. And unfortunately, there are a lot of owners, maybe because it's simple or they don't really understand, what they can get out of their rental. They keep one price pretty much all year round and maybe change it for Christmas or, one or two events. But, it sounds like I think that they're losing out on a huge income there by having this flat pricing. So, are you saying that you have something that people can check out that would allow them to, adjust their pricing dynamically?
Yeah, I mean, so even fundamentally the basics, and I spoke at VRMA a couple of weeks ago with Frank Langston from Pay-By Group, and we're talking about conversion. And really, pricing is one of the key ingredients of effective conversion from a prospect to a guest, and having the right price point. So Rate Clarity is a platform that we've been building for about a year, and it's essentially a competitive shopping tool that allows you to really take a look at your property or properties, and then really put them in context with a competitive set that maybe you're familiar with in your market. And it really just continues to look at data on a real-time basis, and it'll let you know that, hey, look, you may be 20% below price point from your comp set that you set up. So we basically do some simple things as alerting customers, and customers being guests, or I'm sorry, hosts, managers, and owners, that there's a disparity in their marketplace from their property. Maybe they're too high, maybe they're too low, and we just want to make sure that they're aware of what's happening. And just fundamentally, literally, when I spoke a couple of weeks at VRMA, I did ask the audience. We had maybe 75, maybe 100 people in the audience, and I did ask them how many people, are aware of who their competitors are and track them as a comp set of the market. 2 people raised their hand, and I can tell you fundamentally, the larger players use this as a practice every day throughout the day to understand how they're positioned in the marketplace, and it allows them to flux and flex within that market to make sure that they're always competitive in that set. So I think tools like Rate Clarity and others are imperative. These are simple tools, by the way. There's certainly other tools. The tool I launched last year, which was a dynamic pricing engine, that literally did the fluctuation of pricing and deployed it back into your systems in real time. So there's pricing solutions. There's now competitive information and data solutions out there. And again, they're generally super simple to use, but important to use because it really services what's really happening in your marketplace.
And what would you say would be like the most surprising piece of data that you've uncovered about the industry?
Oh, that's a tough one. The most.
Isn't it really? Okay, go for it. Let me hear.
No. It is. I mean, there were. It was surprising when I did the study. Today, it's all manifested itself into the reality that we live in. Okay. The biggest. It's not a surprise. It's just a fact. The biggest fact in this market is it's the fastest growing segment of the accommodation marketplace worldwide. Faster than hotels are growing, faster than any other accommodation segment. That itself is a shocker given the more recent roots, particularly in the United States. Now, in Europe, this is the way people holiday. They take a holiday rental, and let's say 40 or 50% of them do a holiday rental versus a hotel or resort. But the massive change and consumer understanding and I guess embracing this segment is staggering. I've never seen any product say for the iPhone has gained such quick adoption than vacation rentals, and it's just something really special that's going on.
So a couple more questions, and I know you're very busy, Eric, and I really appreciate your time here, but I know that our viewers are hungry for this type of information. So I'm going to go back to the HomeAway thing just for a second. I had read just today that from one of Expedia, the officials at Expedia, that they said they're going to help HomeAway accelerate their booking model, basically moving away from booking from subscription models to booking model. Now, do you see that as a huge? I mean, when I read that today, I was like, whoa, this wasn't a piece of information I received yesterday, but that they're moving from subscriptions basically to booking models.
Well, if you guys were a part of or heard some of the feedback of the BRMA, I think it was last year. I think it was last year. Brian Sharple said as much when he was presenting.
Yeah, I heard quite a bit about that one.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not new. Really, I think the intent was by the end of 2016 was to convert much of the HomeAway subscription business into the booking business.
But I think everyone thought that they would still have the option to go subscription. Maybe they didn't get as much, airtime or much, visibility, but they would have this subscription model. But it seems like with what I read today that that's going to go away.
Well, I think that would be, sometimes change at your own peril. So I think many of us would dispute the fact that booking is completely the way to go. I think it's an important thing to do because a lot of consumers that are certainly coming into the marketplace expect to do. But there's products in this environment we live in that just don't fit that instant booking model. So there's got to be some wiggle room. There's got to be some caveats or some carve-outs for the market to continue to operate in a way that still makes sense for the product, yet still is palatable to the organization that's helping us, engage those prospects that that may want to engage us in a different way. So again, I know why the intent is there to convert it into booking, but I just think that that's certainly not going to be applicable to the 100% of the marketplace.
So Eric, what's coming in 2016? Let everybody know what's going to happen.
Woo, wow, I think to your point, big data is coming. Big data is coming in a big way. You're going to see some things that are going to make all the things that we've seen before seem boring.
Okay.
I believe we're going to see more brands come into the space. Certainly more tools. There are lots of things in the oven now that I'm personally aware of through collaboration with other entrepreneurs. And there's some exciting things to come.
It'll be definitely an interesting ride. Buckle up your seatbelt, as you said. Now, Eric, where can people find these tools that you had mentioned? Where can they find you? This is your time. I mean, you've brought some great value to us today. Thank you so much. And now it's your time to tell people where they can find you, where they can find your tools. It's your time.
Yeah. I mean, really, we've got a couple of things cooking. Obviously, we've got the Rate Clarity product that's out there in beta right now, which is the competitive data analysis tool that allows you to understand what's going on in your marketplace. We've got my rate manager coming to the market. That's actually still in development. And look, ultimately, if you'd like to collaborate more, as you know, I do host the LinkedIn community, Vacation Rental Professionals. If you're not on there, again, it's there more as a tool for you to collaborate with other peers and get any insight that you can garner, which there's a lot out there. And if you'd like to touch base with me directly, there's a way to do that by just being a part of that group. And certainly my email address is very simple. It's ericmason.co. I do live in Colorado, by the way. So ericmason.co@gmail.com. So feel free to drop me an email. Be patient, please. From a response perspective, I do travel quite a bit. But look, guys, this is a village mentality. We can all do great things together, and I'm happy to be a part of this today.
Wow, Eric, what value you got out of this? Hey, if you guys have enjoyed this and the expertise that Eric has shared with us, like this, share this with someone. Get this message out there. I would like to have Eric come back with us at some point in 2016 to see how things are going. But go ahead, and this guy is really, I've tried to contact him several times. He's traveling all over the place. So he's, in the places where things are happening. So he's a great guy to be connected with. So I recommend that you get in touch with Eric. Eric, do you have a website that people can find you, or any URL or anything like that?
Well, RateClarity.com is one. You can obviously, again, LinkedIn is a great place. I mean, I really use that to help me, communicate with the marketplace. And just feel free to shoot me a note with that email address. Say the ericmason.co@gmail.com will allow you to send a kind of a connection request, and we'll take it from there. But no, it's I welcome all collaboration, guys. Again, it's that village mentality.
Well, I definitely will include a link to your LinkedIn profile where people can connect with you after this. Okay, Eric, it's been a great session. I know you're busy. Thank you for taking the time to share this with us, and just keep on keeping on. Thank you again.
No, Jay, and thanks for everything you do, and look forward to catching up in early 2016.
It's going to be fun for sure.
Yeah.
It'll be different. All right, Eric. Talk to you soon, buddy.
Thank you.